Hi everyone, my name is Leow Chee, or also known as Bruce from University Technology Malaysia. I'm currently a lecturer from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering. So today I'll be sharing with you some of the information and facts about drones. So first of all, what is drone? I think many of you have seen a drone. So some of you might have also owned a drone or even played a drone before. So let's look at the definition of the drone. So drone, the name suggests that it is actually an aircraft or aerial vehicles without any human on board. There's no pilot, there's no passengers, okay, there's no flight attendants. Okay, so basically it's just an aircraft which fly without any human on board. So who is actually controlling the drone? So if there's no human on board, of course, it can be remotely controlled by either a human pilot on the ground, or it can also autonomously control by software. Okay, so, but then we heard about other names about the drone, right? So, for example, UAV, UAS. Okay, so we want to talk about the other name of drone as well. So drone is also known as the unmanned aerial vehicles. So the term unmanned means that there's no human on board. Okay, so it's also known as the unmanned aerial aircraft system. And there are other names as well. For example, remotely piloted aircraft systems. And some also call it as the aerial robots. Of course, currently the quite popular name is called the UAV or UAS. So many of you have seen a drone before. I think the drones come with cameras, so you can take pictures from the drones or even take a video, right? So of course, drone has many different applications. So now we're going to talk about a few popular applications. So for example, just now we talk about the photography or videography. So we have drone equipped with camera, which can take a photo from the sky. Or even currently, popularly, you can see that the drone can also be used to take the action photography, because the drone can actually move and the camera can actually follow the user. So you can take action video as well using the drone. It's not necessarily just limited to aerial photography. Then with the camera and also the coordinate system, GPS coordinate system, the drone can actually do more than photography and videography. So a drone in the industry, we can also use the drone to do the land surveying, building surveying, or even to perform the mapping, okay, of the land, of the building, of the structures, and also to do the inspection and maintenance of all the man-made structures. For example, you can see now on the screen that there's a video there demonstrating a drone like trying to use the camera and the GPS coordinate system to do the mapping and to come out with 3D models of a building. So other than that, of course, many of you or many of us would like to have a drone as our hobby, flying a drone as a hobby, or even have fun with playing with drone, right? So of course, drone can be used for recreational purpose as well. Then one of the popular, of course, recreational activity is drone racing. Okay, so they perform a high-speed drone racing in some kind of environment with some obstacle and course. So you try to race against other drones. Okay, so this kind of very thrilling and very fun games. Okay, especially for the drone hobbies. So aside from that, if you look at currently, many countries actually, they have used a drone to perform the parcel delivery. So instead of having your parcel delivered by human, now drone can actually autonomously deliver the parcel to your doorstep. So let's look at the example here in the second video. We can see the drones is carrying a box. So the back box actually is carrying the parcel inside it. And we can see the drone will try to drop the parcel in front of the house. So, okay, autonomously. So, of course, we have also various other drone application aside from the one we mentioned just now. So, for example, in the industry, we are using drones to perform various agriculture application. For example, spraying the fertilizer or spreading the, what you call, some of the seeds, okay? So for spraying and spreading application, for example, you can see the demonstration now. You can spray the fertilizer, okay? Or even pesticides, okay? So for a big plantation. So traditionally, this is done by human, but with the drone technology, so you can actually ask the drone to do all these tasks for you. Okay, it's very efficient, and we can actually reduce the reliance of the manpower. Okay, so of course, drones also can be used in search and rescue operations. Okay, because drone can reach areas, for example, not reachable by human or even by other vehicles. So, for example, in a rescue mission, you want to rescue a victim in the middle of ocean to throw some kind of life jacket or even some buoyant kind of a jacket to the victim, then you can use the drone to perform the rescue operation. Okay. So now we learn about in many interesting different various application of drones. So now let's look into the type of drones. So how many different types of drone do we have? Okay, we can see drones, of course, come in many different shape and size, right? So of course, in general, so we have two major types of drones. So the first type is called the fixed wing. So if you can see the drone on the left here, so it's called a fixed wing. So you can distinctively see the wings, right? Okay. On this drone, it looks really similar like the airplane, right? Okay, so this type of drone is called the fixed wing drone. Okay. So the second type of drones, so on the right-hand side, you can see here drones with propellers, multiple propellers. So this type is called the rotary wing. So propeller will spin, okay, and then it will bring the drones upwards. Okay, we'll talk about that in the following slides. So this type of drones is also known as the multi-rotors. Okay, rotors is referring to the motors here, which spin and rotate the propellers. And it also called the multi-copters. Okay, so you remember the thing called the helicopters. So helicopter also has propellers. Okay, so the principle is similar like helicopters. But of course, we're talking about both fixed wing and rotary wing drone. So it means there's no human on board. So how does a fixed wing drone fly? Okay, so the principle behind the fixed wing drones is actually similar like an aircraft or like an aeroplane. So basically, it makes use of the aerodynamic principles. So when the drone moves forwards, okay, in a speed, then the wings will try to generate a lift. So by having when the air pass through the upper part of the wing and also the lower part of the wing, so lower part, we're having the higher pressure, will push the aircraft upwards compared to the pressure that you have the upper part of the wings. So the pressure difference actually provide the lift. Okay, so fixed wing has to continue to move forward. Okay, so fixed wing drone cannot actually stop in the middle of the air. So as you can see the aeroplane is actually continue flying, right? So you can't see when aeroplane like just freeze and then stay there. So aeroplane, or in this case, the fixed wing, has to continue to maintain the motion, forward motion, so that it can generate the lift, so that the fixed wing can remain in the air. Okay, so the second type of drone that we talk about is called the rotary wing, or also known as the multi-rotor. Okay, multi-rotor. Okay, so this type of drones, so it works slightly differently compared to the fixed wing. So where the propellers basically will spin at high speed. So you can see there's a number of propellers here. There are 4 here in this drone. So this propeller will spin in high speed. So it will push the air downwards. So this mechanism actually will lift the drones, okay, upwards. Okay, so this is called the multi-rotor drones operation. Okay, so this is differently compared to the fixed wing. So the good thing about the multi-rotor drone is that it can maintain at a fixed position, or we call the hovering position. So you can see the drone can actually stay and maintain the altitude and about the same altitude, okay, not to move forward or just stay at the same point. So it has the hovering capability. It actually also have very flexible capability to move in any direction in the 3D space. All right, so next let's look at the type of multi-rotor drones. So all these drones in front of you, they are called the multi-rotors, okay? All right, so why it's called multi-rotors? Because there are multiple propellers here, right? You can see. All right, so multi means two or more. Okay, so in this case, at least you have three here. Okay, we only have three propellers or three rotors. Okay, rotor referring to the motors here. Okay, so this propeller basically referring to tricopter. So it's called a tricopter. Okay. So remember that another name for multi-rotor is also called the multicopter. Okay, so in this case, we call it the tricopter because it has three propellers. Okay, so the next one, you can see the bottom left, you have the four propellers. So we call it the quadcopters. Okay, so the quad stand for four, right? So it means this drone has the four propellers or four rotors. Okay, so on the right, top right corner, you can see a bigger drone. So this kind of drone is bigger. You can see there are how many propellers. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they are altogether 6 propellers. Okay. So what is the name you call this kind of drone? So it's called the hexacopter. So hex means 6. Okay. So hexacopters referring to propellers having referring to the drone having 6 propellers. So at the bottom right-hand side, you can see even a bigger drone, right? So there are how many propellers altogether? So if you count, right, one by one, so many of them. So there are actually 8 propellers. Okay, so this drone is called the octocopter. All right. So of course, just now we talk about the type of drone by referring to the number of propellers it have. Of course, how big or how small a drone can be. So of course, drone comes in different sizes, okay, for various purposes, okay. So some application, they will require a small drone. Some application, they require a bigger drone. So it's actually very different compared to, depending on the application. So they come in different size. So the smallest one could be like centimeter, 3 centimeter or 30 millimeters. It's called the nano drones. Then slightly bigger one is called between lower than 100 millimeter okay, or 10 cm. It's called the micro drone. Then you have mini drone below 30 centimeter or 300 millimeter. It's called a mini drone. And the one smaller than 500 millimeters, okay, is called the small drone. And then you have medium drones. And even you have large drone, right? Large drone larger than 2 meters, okay? So it comes in various sizes. So the smallest drone, for example, can fit in your palms, okay, in your hands, okay, as small as this. So you can see the dimensions about, how much is that? 22 mm, right? 40 mm times 22 mm. Okay, it's very small. Okay, the big one can be as big as aircraft. Okay, so you can see there's no passenger seat here. So this is actually a drone. For example, this drone Global Hawk. How big is this? It's as long as 13 meters. And with a wingspan, it's a fixed wing. So between the left wing and the right wing, actually, it takes about 30 meters. It's a huge drone. Okay. So now, I'd like to share with you one of the drone I built. So this is one of the DIY or do-it-yourself drones. So where I bought all the components off the shelf. Okay, so you can buy it. You can they are available on the e-commerce website as well. You can you can buy the parts of the drones. Okay, and then assemble yourself. So this is one of the first drone that I assembled. So I'd like to show you the main component of a drone. Okay, so this drone is called the quadcopter. Why? Because if you count, right, there's 4 propellers. So then the name is called the quadcopters. So first, to build a drone, then you need a frame, right? Okay, so this frame is the one that I use here is made of the ABS plastic. Okay, Okay, it's a plastic drone, plastic materials. Okay, so it's lightweight and it's quite durable. All right, so of course you need to assemble the drone. And then of course, drone nowadays is powered mostly by battery. So you need a battery. Okay, so the type of battery that we use normally is called the lithium polymer. So in short, we call it the LiPo. LiPo stands for lithium polymer. Okay, is the type of battery that we use. Okay, then in a drone, okay, you can see here. So I try to take a photo. So underneath this cover, we have a flight controller. So what is actually a flight controller? Flight controller is the main computer on board the drone, okay? Or you can say it's the main brain of the brain inside the drone. So it tries to control all the propellers through the motors, okay? It tries to control the speed of the rotation, okay? Okay, and the direction of the rotation. So to enable you to control the drone, right? To fly the drone to any different position. And it also rely on a number of sensors, onboard sensors, to ensure that the drone can always stay stable and steady. Okay. So then propeller, of course, you know what is propellers. Okay, all these 5 colors. It's a plastic propeller, of course. Okay, so this is a DIY drone. So propellers. Okay, so propellers. Now we have 4 propellers. Then we have the red color. You can see the block here. I try to put a zoom in for you. So this is called the electronic speed controller. Okay, so what this component is doing? So basically, is connected to the flight controller. So it will send signal to the motors, okay, and instruct the motor how fast it should spin. So you can increase the speed of the motor, right, in order to make sure your propeller spins faster, or even you can reduce the speed. Okay, so all this is controlled in real time by the flight controller, and the signal is regulated by the ESC, or we call it the electronic speed controller. Okay, so of course, connected to each of the propeller, you have the motor. Okay, so this type is called a DC motor. Okay, this motor very simple, or you also call it the rotor. So you try to spin. Okay, when you supply an electrical signal to this motor, it will spin. Okay, of course, if you give more current to this motor, it will going to spin faster. How much current you will be going to give or to this motor, it will be coming from the ESC. ESC will control that. Okay. Of course, the main controllers come from the signals, come from the flight controller. Then you have another component called the remote control receiver. So RC stands for remote control. So because you want to control it, right? So there's a pilot. So the pilot is normally you or the human pilot, okay, anyone who actually holding the remote control. So you need to receive a signal from remote control, right? So to receive, then you need a receiver. So this receiver, the job is basically to receive the signal transmitted from the remote control unit. Okay, basically tell the drone what to do. Okay, should you stay or should you move to which direction, and how do you move? Okay, and then it also has the GPS and compass. GPS basically is going to tell the drone, okay, where are you now? So at which location? Okay, so basically make use of the GPS, okay, signal coming from the satellite. So GPS, you know, right, you can use for navigation. So for example, in your Google Maps or in your Waze, your phone is actually receiving the GPS signals, okay, from the satellite. So these GPS signals helps the device to identify what is the current location in terms of the coordinate. So that provide you the capability to navigate, okay? So of course, compass, okay? Compass basically telling you which direction you are facing, okay? It's telling the direction because the drone is going to move, right? Going to fly. It needs to know the direction. So the directions come from the compass, okay? Then, of course, you need a transmitter, RC transmitter. RC, just now, if I explain, stand for the remote control. So the remote control will send the signals to the RC receiver. RC receiver will will forward the signal to the controller and then instruct the drone what to do. Okay. So that is the main component of drone. So if you want to DIY a drone, so you can buy all these materials, all these components. So these are the minimum components you should buy. Some may include additional accessories. For example, if you want your camera, your drone to have a camera, then you should buy a camera. Okay. If you want your drone to have some LED light, you can add some LED light. Okay. The basic, of course, these are the components you need if you want to build your own drone. It's not difficult, or you just need to have some skill like how to assemble the parts, and then some soldering skill. Okay, how do you solder the wire to the board? The rest, and then of course you need to have some skill to read the wiring diagram. So which wire should connect to another wires. Okay, so just now I mentioned that there are a number of sensors on board in the flight controller, right? So what are the sensors there? So inside the onboard sensor module, inside the flight controller normally, so they have a number of sensors. So first sensor is called the gyroscope. So gyroscope is the sensor which can tell the orientation. So what is the current orientation of the drone? Is it tilted? Or is straight? Okay, which is it kind of at which angle it tilts? Okay, so this is similar to the gyroscope in your smartphone. Okay, the smartphone normally nowadays they have a gyroscope, and the second type of sensor is called the accelerometers. Okay, so accelerometer basically is try to measure the drone's movement. Is it moving very fast or getting slower, and then moving into which direction? Okay, I try to measure the movement of the drone. Okay, so this is the same. So this accelerometer also commonly in the smartphone, we have this type of sensor as well, accelerometers. Okay, the speed and the direction of the of the drone. Then the next you have your magnetometers. So this is actually the compass that we speak about just now. Okay, magnetometers basically is the compass telling you the directions. Okay, so which directions the drone is actually facing or heading. Okay, so that through the magnetometers, then it will tell us the direction. So we also call this a compass. Okay, inside a compass, basically, you have magnetometers. Okay. Then we also have the barometers. Barometers basically is a sensor which can measure the altitude. What is altitude? Altitude basically the height of the drone. How high your drone has already climb up to this height or altitude. Okay, so you fly until this altitude. How high are you? So the barometer will measure. Okay, and then it will tell the altitude. So how high are you currently? Okay. So you also try to ensure that you can maintain a stable altitude. Okay. So now we want to talk a bit about the control. Okay. So how do we control a drone? So what are the main supporting technology behind it? Of course, you know, RC or the remote control, right? You have seen some remote control. They have some antennas there. Okay, or these sticks or this bar here is actually antennas, right? So this remote control will send a wireless signals, okay, wireless signals to the drone. Okay, there's no wire, right? It's not connected to any wire. So wirelessly, so the controller or remote control RC transmitter will transmit signals, wireless signals, to the receiver of the drone. Drone receiver will receive, and then the flight controller will tell the drone what to do. Should it stay at its current position, or should it move forward or backwards? What kind of movement you need the drone to do? So it's come from the controller. Okay, so the controller, of course, the signal that you sense can be radio signals, so which runs on the proprietary protocol, or some of them, especially consumers drones, they are using the common technology that you know. So you know this, right? Wi-Fi. You use this every day, right? For your smartphone, okay, or for your tablets, or for your laptops to connect to the internet wirelessly. So these are very common technologies that we use, Wi-Fi. And some of the drone, they also have a Bluetooth connection. So you can control the drone using Bluetooth. Okay. So of course, Bluetooth has a shorter range. So your drone cannot fly too far away from you. Otherwise, you will lose the connection, right? But for near kind of range, right, few meters of range, then Bluetooth is okay because it's actually using a very low energy, right? So it's quite efficient. Or in the case that some of the drones, so they can actually connect to 4G and 5G. So you can control the drone through the transmitting the signals through the 4G or 5G networks. Okay, so instead of using your remote control, then you can use your phone. Okay, your phone actually connect to 4G or 5G, and then from there, then you real time control your drone through the 4G or 5G. Okay, so there are various technology that can be used in controlling the drone wirelessly. Okay, so now let's go a little bit more details about remote control. So now we want you to learn about the basic parameters that you can control. So what are the parameters that, or the parameters or the movement that you can control, right? So if you look into the controller of the drone, so you'll see two joysticks. Okay, so this joystick you can move around with your thumbs. Okay, you have a left hand side one joystick and another joystick in the right hand side. Okay, as indicated by these figures. Normally you have two. Okay, so then these two joystick basically they have upward and downward motion and left and right motion. So you can push the joystick upward, you can push it downward, you can push it left hand side or push it right hand side. So by changing the direction of the joystick, position of joystick, you can actually move a drone. Okay, so first, the basic movement that we want to learn is called the throttle. Okay, so what is throttle? Throttle basically you want to move the drone upwards and downwards, or you want the drone to climb up or descend. Okay, so when you push the throttle joystick, you push it up, then the drone will go up. So when you push the throttle downwards, the drone will come down. Okay, so this is important for takeoff. So if you want the drone, for example, quadcopter drone to take off, then you have to push the throttle. Okay, so if you want it to land, then you have to what do you call, lower down your throttles so that the drone can actually land. So this is first basic movement. Okay, so let's look at how it works. So if I push up the throttle, then you can see the drone go up. If I push down, then the throttle, then the drone will come down. Okay, so that is very basic. So next, now I want my drone. So now my drone is actually facing the windows, right? Can I turn around the drone so that it face the wall or face the other side? Okay, so let's say I have a drone inside the room, right? Okay, so that control movement parameters is called the yaw. Okay, the yaw. Okay, the yaw basically will actually control the direction that the drone is facing. So in other words, it can rotate the drones towards what do you call, left side or right hand side. Rotate, rotate means that you just at the same position, so the facing direction of the drone will change. Either you rotate towards the left hand side or right hand side. If you rotate to the right hand side, it's also called the it's also called the clockwise, right? Okay, follow the direction of the clock. So if you rotate other direction, okay, if you put the throttle or the yaw control to the left, then your drone will actually rotate in the counterclockwise direction. Okay, so let's look at how it works. So if I push my yaw thumbsticks, okay, the joystick to the left, you can see the drone move left. If I push it to the right, you can see the direction it faces, right? So it changed the direction only. Okay, you can see it changed the direction it's facing. Okay, so it's still at the same point. The drone is still at the same point. It just changed the facing direction. So this is called the yaw. Okay, so just now we learned about first it's called the throttle. Now we have the yaw. Okay, so we have two more. So the next one, okay, of course your drone, of course, can come out, can go up and down, and then can change the facing direction, right? You can turn left or right. can it move in front and backward? Of course it can. So that movement is called the pitch. Okay, so pitch is the movement where you can control the drone to move forward. Okay, if you push the joystick, right? Okay, to the upper position, then your drone will go forward. Okay, if that stick is actually used for the pitch. If you push it downwards, then it's called the backward position. Okay, your drone will actually reverse or kind of go backwards. So let's see how it works here. So if I push in front, you can see a drone move in front, the pitch, right? So if I push the pitch downwards, you can see the drone's actually coming towards you. Okay, let's say if you stand behind the drone, so go forward, okay, and backward. Okay, so this is the pitch movement. Okay, so what is the last movement that we haven't talked about? You can now go up, go down, turn around, and go in front. Okay, which is the pitch. So of course, last but not least, we have the roll. Okay, roll. Okay, rolls. So what is roll? Roll basically is controlling the movement of the drone to move left or move right. Okay, okay, how it works is like this. If you push the roll, okay, joystick to the left, you go left. You push the roll to the right, then the drone will go to the right. Okay, so now you can see your drone can go to any position. So especially the talk about here is the multi-rotor drones, right? Or the rotary wing drone. So in this example of the simulation here, we have a quadcopter. So it's a type of multicopter. Okay, so multicopter, the advantage is that it can actually move in any directions. Okay, or it can also stay. So let's say if you don't want the drone to move, right? You just put all your release all your joystick and maintain in the center position. It will just stay at the same position. So that operation is called the hovering. Okay, the hovering means that the drone will just maintain the same position, hovering. Okay, so it can do that. All right. So now let's answer a few questions. Always people ask, okay, can the drone or drones land on water? Can or cannot? Okay. Well, some of you say cannot lah, because drone go into water, then your drone of course spoil already. Of course, yes, generally. So for general drones, of course, they are not designed to be waterproof. Okay, but there are certain type of drones, okay, which can actually land on water. Okay, some even can dive into water. Okay, this type of drone we call it the aqua drone or amphibious drone. Okay, some they call it the CA integrated drone. Some they call it underwater drone. Some they call it waterproof. Okay, waterproof of drone basically is waterproof. Then of course it can land on water. Some drone just float on the water. Some drone can actually dive into the water. Okay, so this is a very specialized type of drone. So not all the drones can do that. So if you have built your drone, so make sure that you don't dive your drones into the water, because the electronics are not waterproof, right? So once you dive your drone into the water, yeah, you kill the drone. Okay, so unless you have a waterproof drone. Okay, so another common question people ask, okay, how long can my drone fly? Is it a few minutes? Is it a few hours? So how long can the drone fly? So this is a kind of a question that always people ask, right? How long can it last? Okay, so let's see some example. Okay, for example, fixed wing. Okay, let's say some fixed wing drone, they can fly like 30 minutes. Some can fly 1 hour or even more. Okay, so if you have some consumer camera drones, for example, all these consumer grade camera drones, so they are not toy drones, they are consumer drone, for example, photography drone. So typically their flight time is within 30 minutes, around 30 minutes. Okay, all right. So even some of the case, if you buy some toy drones, they could last 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay, so it depends on the types of drone that you are talking about. So what are the factors that affect the flight time? So how long you can fly the drone? Okay, so of course, remember, so most of the drone nowadays are battery powered. So it depends on how large is your battery, how much capacity you have in your battery, right? Then it also depends on the size of the drone. Of course, smaller drone cannot carry a bigger battery. Okay, so there's a limitation. So a small drone is not able to carry something heavy. So then the battery should be small. So bigger drone then can carry actually much weight. Then it can actually put a bigger battery. Okay. So it also depends on the design of the drone, right? So some drone more efficient, then they can actually fly longer. Okay. Then weight of the drone. Okay. So if the drone is more heavy, so let's say if you try to put something, let's say I want to put some of the accessory, right? If I put a very heavy objects, okay, on the drone itself, then my battery life will decrease. Okay, because the propellers have to work harder in order to keep the drones at the same position. Okay, so it depends on many factors. So sometimes environment as well. Sometimes when it's very, very windy, right? Let's say if you fly a quadcopter, let's say, so if the wind is strong, so when the wind blow, okay, then the drone is trying to balance itself. Okay, so you try to spin harder the propellers. Okay, in that case, it will use more energy. So it depends on a lot of external factors as well. It depends on how fast you fly the drone. So if you fly faster, okay, if the drone travel faster, then it will consume more battery. Okay, so in other words, of course, is a variable. So it depends on a lot of things. And then, of course, the capability, of course, is limited by the type of drone you have, okay, the size of it, the capability of it, the battery capacity of it. Generally, if you compare fixed wing and multi-rotor, fixed wing can normally last longer, fly longer, okay, because the what do you call the mechanism is different, right? They're based on the aerodynamic. Okay, it is more use less energy, right, compared to multi-rotor. Multi-rotor, you spin all the propellers, right? So this consume more energy. So generally, if you compare fixed wing and multi-rotors, of course, fixed wing normally should be able to last a little bit longer or even more longer. Okay, some fixed wing can last for hours. Okay, on a single battery, they can last hours, a few hours. Okay. Then people also ask, okay, now I know how long a drone can fly, but how far a drone can fly? Okay, let's say you are controlling the drone. How far can you fly a drone? So of course, that is a question that depends on many factors as well. So it depends on the type of drone you have. Okay, the capability of the drone. Some drones, they just can fly very short range only. Some drones, they can go very far. Okay. It depends on the battery life as well. So if your battery life is short, of course, you are not supposed to fly very far. Otherwise, halfway your drone does not have enough battery to come back, right? So it depends on the communication range. So communication range means that your remote control, right? How far you can still maintain the connection between the remote control transmitter and the receiver on the drone. Okay, there's a range that it can cover. It depends on the type of communication technology or wireless technology that they are using. Okay, and it depends on the type of flight mode and environment, and also it also depends on the rules or regulation. Okay, so it's not like you want, if the drone can fly 5 kilometers, then you're allowed to fly that. So it's subject to the air regulation. Okay. So for example, some of the distance or the range, okay, how far a drone can fly, it can be 100 meters, okay, few meters, 100 meters, okay. It can be kilometer range. Okay, depends on the capability of drones. So of course, consumer drones, normally we have a shorter range, a few hundred meters, okay. Then professional drones, especially those surveillance drone, so they can fly very far. Okay. For example, over 20 kilometers. Okay, those drones can do that. So they are big drones. They can have a capability to fly very far. Then, of course, multi-rotors drones. Typically, let's say you have consumer drones or toy drones. So a few meters toy drones. So let's say you have camera drones. Okay, the drones are consumer grade camera drones. A few hundred meters is okay. Sometimes you can reach kilometer. If you have a professional grade drone, so it can go for like even go up to 8 kilometers. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you can fly a drone up to that, because it's subject to regulation. So in Malaysia, if you are flying a drone, so you need to maintain the line of sight. Line of sight means that you should be able to see the drone. So if you are the pilot, so you need to be able to see your drone unassisted. Okay, means that if you don't put on any glasses or any binocular, right, or any kind of magnifier kind of glass, then you should be able to see the drone with your eye. So you have to maintain your eyesight on the drone. So if the drones go like very far, then you can't see it. So then you need the license. You need license, for example, specialized permit in order to do that. Okay, so for that purpose, then it's regulated. So even though the drone can go so far, some of the drones can go for kilometer, but normally you are not going to do that because this is prohibited. So you need to get special permission. Then, okay, second question related to the question just now. How high? Okay, you're talking about altitude, right? How high? Let's say my drone can go up, right? Can fly. Okay, we know how far it can go, but now is how high it can go. Can it go to the outer space? Of course, no. Okay, so that's a spaceship already. So now we're talking about drone, right? So there are many factors that will decide how high the drone can fly. So of course, it depends on the capability of the drone. So means is the drone designed to fly up to this height, right, or this altitude? Okay, and then how much flight time it has. For example, if the flight time very short, for example, you just fly there, then you don't have enough battery, then the drone will just drop, right? It doesn't have enough energy to come back. It just free fall. Okay, so it depends on the capability of the drone. Okay, it depends on the type of the drones. Okay, it depends on the battery. Okay, it depends on the communication range. So it's roughly similar to the range, right, we talked about just now. And it also subject to rules or law, okay, or regulation. Okay, so it's not like, oh, my drone can go up to very high, then I should push my drone there, because the airspace is actually regulated. So you are not like able, let's say you're a hobbyist, yeah, so it cannot go beyond certain height or altitude. So in most countries, including Malaysia, so we are not allowed to fly beyond 120 meters. If you want to do that, so you have to apply permission. Okay, it's because over this 100 meters, 120 meters, then you have aircraft, you have aeroplane. So if you go up there, then you could cause an accident, right? So then for the drone, then we will have a limit. So each of the country, they will limit the height that the drone can fly. Okay, most of the countries is around 120 meter or 400 feet. So in Malaysia, we use meter, right? So we talk about around 120 meters. Okay. So now we learned many things about the drones already. So now towards the last part, let's look at the other emerging application of drones. So just now we look at drone to send a parcel, drone to rescue, okay, drone to spray the fertilizer or pesticide, okay, drone for like other kind of delivery or this thing, right? So now we look at the emerging application. Emerging means they're becoming popular. So it's getting popular. So there are new applications which getting popular. So first is called the air taxi. Just now, if you remember the definition of drone, drone means unmanned. Unmanned means no passenger. So there's a new trend, for example, so the drones has a seat, okay? There has a passenger seat, okay? The pilot, of course, could be on the ground. So it could also be autonomous, right? Autonomous means that there's no pilot there. It's based on the software or the autopilot software, okay? System. So air taxi basically is the drone which can carry passenger. Okay, so in some country, for example, they have tested the air taxi service. So instead of having your normal car as a taxi, Then in the near future, we are expecting to see these kind of services where drone can actually bring passenger from one point to another point. So this is especially useful, especially you are live in a very congested city where you drive a car, always get traffic jam. So if you have an air taxi, then that could solve some of the problem. Okay, so this is getting popular. So it's also called the urban air mobility. Okay, of course, currently it's not like a common, but it's kind of taking shape. It's also becoming popular. So there are many companies actually develop drones which can carry passenger, and they offer the air taxi services. So another emerging application. So of course, this one is the one that I'm working closely. So it's about communication. So for example, in case of area where you don't have the communication service, okay, let's say your network is not good, or means there's no signal. For example, during the disaster or things, right? Then you can deploy a drone. So the drone can carry the communication equipment, and it can broadcast the wireless coverage or broadcast the wireless signals. Okay, either it could be Wi-Fi, it could provide you 4G or even 5G. Okay, so instead of having the traditional network that you can see, right, or the wireless network you can see on a tower or on the antenna poles, right? So now it's actually mobile, and the drone actually can move around. Whenever there's a demand, let's say you have a concert, you want to provide internet coverage, okay, you can deploy the drone to provide a coverage. So in a disaster, let's say you have the flood, okay, where your ground network's actually all down already, network down, no signal, right? So you can deploy the drone to provide the wireless coverage, so that the victim can actually connect and then call for help. And then the search and rescue personnel can actually coordinate operation through a reliable wireless connection. So that's called the drone hotspot. So first, also another emerging and getting very, very popular is the drone swarm. Okay, what is actually a drone swarm? Drone swarm, basically, you have a large number of drones, could be hundreds or even thousands of drones. They fly in the groups, okay, and they coordinate between each other, okay. So either it could be controlled by a central system, or it could be also autonomously. Okay, they can talk. The drone can actually talk between them. So you have a large number of drones, like a swarm of drones, right? Like a swarm of bees. Now you have a swarm of drones. So they talk to each other, they coordinate. Okay. So one of the important application is they can perform the aerial light show. Okay. So the picture you can see in front of you, this is not fireworks. This is the drone swarm operation. Okay. Let's look at the drone swarm. So this is clips from the Tokyo Olympic 2020. You can see the drone flying. So those drones having the LED. Okay, they try to move and talk to each other, coordinate, and come up with a formation. Okay, with the formation, you can do the light show, area light show, 3D. I can see a globe. Okay, you can see those dots actually individual drones. So there'll be hundreds of drones try to coordinate and work together to perform the formation. So with that, then you can have a very, very spectacular area light show, which I think many of the events, for big event, for example, Olympics, they try to showcase this kind of emerging technologies, drone swarm technologies. Okay. All right. So hope you enjoy the sharing session today. So if you have any questions, so feel free to put in the comments. Okay. If you want to contact me, then you can email me as well. Okay. So hope to see you again next time. So enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.